on Embracing Your Love Marks. We have an amazing special guest here on the show, and I really wanted you guys to have this opportunity to get to know more about his history, and we're going to have some fun at the end where we're going to talk about some questions that you guys are going to enjoy. We're going to play our game that we normally do at the end. But we really are just so elated to have Mr. Nigel Battle here as a guest on Embracing Your Love Marks. He is a full-time content creator who manages two, you guys, YouTube channels. After years of being an entertainer on stage through the art of musical theater and drag performance, Nigel took his talents to YouTube, where he went all in at the beginning of 2020 by launching his entertainment variety channel. Exactly 1 year after starting his first channel, he began his second channel, which is a creator coaching channel, which is crafted and hopes to inspire and teach the next generation all he learned in his life as an artist, both online and offline. Nigel is an actor, a drag queen, recording artist, YouTuber, and creator coach who is passionate about music, video games, movies, and all things content creator. And he has a strong social media presence. Most recently, Nigel became the host of his new podcast, the Creator Chat Podcast, where he helps new creators grow by sharing his own unique experiences and advice. Episodes are now playing on Spotify, and live recordings are on the Creator Chat Podcast YouTube channel. And I will be providing you guys all the links in the description so y'all will be able to follow and support Nigel. But we thank you so much, Nigel, for being here on Embracing Your Love Marks. Thank you for joining our show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm such a fan. When I was listening to episodes and you were just talking about what you guys stood for over here, I was like, I'm running over. I could not wait for this. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, we thank you, and Dorian made this work so much for us, because Dorian and I kind of talked about the show in the beginning, and I was like, do you want to do it? He was like, sure. And I think Dorian didn't know what I was signing him up for, but I'm just so excited. He's been doing such an amazing job as well.
Thank you so much, Jeriel. You know what? It was a meant-to-be thing, and I'm so glad, we've come this far already with Embracing Your Love Marks. And Nigel, I'm just so glad that you are a part of this episode today. I'm just elated. You guys may not know this, but Nigel is somebody that actually reached out to me in support of my music, and he had me come on to one of his YouTube shows and interviewed me, and we've been kicking it ever since online. I've been supporting him and rooting for him and vice versa, and it's just been so amazing. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Firstly, Nigel, I just want to say thank you for the support.
Oh my gosh, you know I can throw that right back to you, because your music, your soul, your whole being has been a shift, a change and a shift in my life, and it's been incredible. You've been so much a part of everything musically. And ironically, the last thing that I started was that Creator Chat podcast, but it was the Creator Spotlight series you were that first guest on that kind of inspired, dang, I could do this for hours. I don't even need a guest. And that's why that podcast came to light, because I was like, I could talk about creator life forever. And you were my first guest for that series. I remember we had a good hour together.
Yes, it was so amazing. It was so fun. Oh, my goodness. I love it. I just want to check in with you firstly and just see how you're doing.
I am hanging in. I've been trying to give people an honest answer. And for anyone listening, just to give reference, my mom just passed away on January 1st. So we are at the 23rd right now, and my answer is what I tell people. It is a living nightmare. It is pure hell. But I am in fact hanging in, using all my resources to stay strong, and, very much newly connected to the universe right now in a way that I wasn't before. So it's been interesting, just kind of, living my new reality, I guess. A lot of things are very different from me. I was a mama's boy. She was my best friend. She knew everything from my dreams to what I did the day before she passed. So it's very fresh, very real, but I'm a very vulnerable, open person, so I want to make sure I'm honest the way I answer that question. So thank you for asking.
No, of course, and just thank you for being so open and honest. And your story can touch somebody. I'm telling you right now, like I feel it in my heart right now, and I'm just so thankful that you even still took the time to even come and speak to us today, because I can't even imagine, of what you're going through currently. And so, just know that you have a village of people rooting for you, praying for you, and now you have someone in the upper room pulling all kinds of strings to make sure that you continue to move in your purpose. So, yeah, we're here for you.
Yes, I can feel it, and you guys are both such sweethearts, and I knew you would be fine with whatever I chose today, but some days are better than others, and she knows very much so how much I love doing things like this, and she just gave me the strength today, so I'm certainly here because of her, and I'm so excited.
I love it. I love it. We kind of went into it slightly in your bio, but we would love to know, from your own perspective, how you got your start in full-on content creation the way you did.
Yeah, so in 2020, I kind of took a leap. I started off in my 20s being like a medical assistant, and I don't usually like talk about this like when I talk content creation. I usually just start right at the beginning of my content creation, but the last job that I worked prior to be a full-time creator was as a registered medical assistant for physical therapy and dermatology. I worked for specialized doctors for years. And during those work days, during those 9 to 5s, I would kind of think all day long of like creation opportunities, and like YouTube was on the rise, and you know what it was. This is the year that people were starting to really put out their music on Spotify, and like it was that shift of like you don't have to go to Hollywood to follow your dreams or be who you want to be. Like it was that shift of being able to do it from your bedroom. And I was just dragging those last couple years into that medical assistant job. So I basically saved up and I left to be a full-time creator. I started my channel, I started releasing music, and I actually started the channel just to put up the music video for my first single. And then once the music video was up for my first single, I looked at that channel and I was like, you can do this. Like, let's do it. Like, you want to be a full-time creator? You want to leave your job? You're certainly going to do YouTube. You're going to do everything. Like, I was really hard on myself. So I went all in 2020, saved a couple bands, and just took off. And I never looked back.
I love it. I love it.
I think that's a great lesson for a lot of maybe our younger listeners to kind of hear that. Because when we kind of go into 2020, it was a huge year for a lot of people in different ways. How we learned how to manage grief, to talk about social injustice, experiences that everyone was going through. I know when I started Black Canvas, which is my first show that I started, it was in May of 2020. And I'll never forget just, having that moment. I had gotten really sick for an entire week, and I thought I had COVID myself. And I'll never forget just sitting down. My mom was like crying, was very emotional. And when we found out I didn't have COVID, but she knew how sick I was. And I said, you know what? This is a turnaround for me. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that I get the message out that needs to be heard. And I started writing poetry, which is something I hadn't done since my grandfather passed when I was 17. So this had been many years later. And that was the first book I wrote, which was Tuma's Gift. With poetry. And then I said, you know what? That's not what we need to do. We need to have something else out there. And so the title Black Canvas was from a book I had written. I said, this would be a great thing to talk about, because when we think of a blank canvas, of course we can add any color to it, but when we think of black, it can be seen in so many different ways. And so I wanted people to say, it doesn't have to mean a negative connotation. It is just our expression and what we want it to be, and the canvas that we want others to see is so important. And so even when embracing our love marks, this show has given, hope to people maybe who struggled with knowing where they're going in their life, and they can embrace it. And so it kind of segues into our next question we have for you is, when we think of embracing your love marks, what would you say is a love mark in your life that you have always or have come to learn to embrace, something that stands out to you?
Oh my gosh, I have to just circle it back to just all the love that I received from my mom. and just all the marks she left on me, all the things she taught me. I was raised from a single mother, so we grew up together, best friends, like shared a bed, everything, like one bedroom apartment until I was 10 years old. So like the bond is very physical, the lessons are very, very strong, just, and so much in part of what she taught me always had to do with like love and kindness and making sure that you leave that positive impact on people and try your best. All the things that you could think a mother should teach her child, I had the pleasure of mine teaching me. So I was very lucky to be surrounded and showered in multiple love marks in my life.
That is just so beautiful. It's inspiring. And, you know, you can see the connection between you two with all of the content you've been sharing recently with her. It's like I got to fall in love with her. So many of your fans, I'm sure, got to fall in love with her. And it's just beautiful to see how she is your biggest fan and is still pouring all of that love over you. And she raised such a stand-up individual. I really mean that. It's just so beautiful to see. I really would love to know, as a content creator, what's one of the biggest lessons or takeaways you've learned so far in your journey?
Oh my gosh. Biggest lesson. Oh my gosh. And, you know, I say this just because it's still something it's biggest lesson because I'm still trying to teach it to myself. And I think it's to not be so darn hard on yourself. You know, I think I've been known, and I'm like very public and bold when I tell people about how I crack the whip on myself. But then I tell like my clients and the students, I'm like, don't be so hard on yourself, give yourself breaks, because that really is so important. Like sometimes our dreams are so big that it can like overshadow the actual like foundations of being a human being. Like, I don't know if anyone can relate to that thought, but sometimes a dream can be that powerful where literally like sleeping and eating becomes second or third. So I think giving yourself those breaks is what's important.
You really are speaking to my spirit. You already know, you know, as an independent artist, when you have a dream like that, you really do have these huge aspirations and wishes for yourself and on your life. And it's like, you know, sometimes you do have to take those self-checks and take that break and give yourself some grace as well and be like, you know, I'm still doing okay. All things considered, I'm still moving forward. I feel like as long as there's forward movement, you should be able to give yourself some grace and understand, just like you said, that you are human and we're all going through life trying to figure it out as we go along and try to manifest our dreams. But if we give ourselves some grace, we can kind of go through it a little bit more peacefully.
For sure, Dorian. And I think that kind of goes into having those strong people around you who can tell you something in a constructive way, but also in a loving way. And I feel like for some, maybe of our listeners, they may not have grown up with that experience with having maybe a parent or a friend or someone who really understood the journey. I did have a guest, I will say, I'll never forget, he said how his parents wanted him to go to medical school, and that was their passion for him. And he felt that music was just kind of like a fun little hobby, but he had to kind of find it within himself to say, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to prove myself that I can do it versus proving them wrong. And I feel like when you can prove yourself right, that means you actually have to be in tune and finding an emotional attunement within yourself. And then also being aware, you know, socially, emotionally, spiritually, being aware of what it takes to get to the next level. And so I love, Nigel, like you said, you stepped out on your belief system, but you realize, hey, I have to be fiscally responsible as well now that I'm putting all this money into me, because this product, which is myself, is something I'm selling to others. And unfortunately, we see a lot of times there's so much saturation with so many different things that our people's attention span can be very short of, hey, I'll just go flip to the next person. But when you start to build that fan base, people are really buying into you versus just the experience itself.
Yeah, no, you absolutely, you have to believe in yourself. And it's so crazy because, again, like, you're so right. You have to have that foundation, those people that believe in you. And I don't know how I left this part out, but that was not just a leap from medical assistant to creator. That was, in the middle of that was a 2-hour phone call with my mom. asking her, should I do this? Am I good enough? Do you think I can leave my mark on the world? Do you think I can make a living doing what I truly love like these other people? That was a conversation I had to have with her. And our bond was so strong and her word meant so much that all I needed was for her to say yes. And I didn't need anyone else to approve it. I didn't need anyone else to tell me I was good. And to back it up, though, I had been told my whole life that, oh, you have what it takes for YouTube. Like, oh, what's your YouTube channel? Oh, you're so funny. What's your video? All my whole life I've heard that. But I didn't believe in myself until recently. And then once I got her approval and I believed in myself, I was good to go. So if people can just find that one person that says yes and believes in you, like to the core, you're all set. Just take that and ride it. It's for real.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That is a whole word. And, you know, you're just such a light and you're so busy. You're doing so much. I wonder how you even find the time to do it all and how you find the inspiration to be able to keep going and handle and juggle all of the things that you have going on right now.
Yeah, I manage myself. I use lists. I try to stay very organized. Like that pressure to be good and get things done only can exist if you put yourself on some type of schedule. Like if I just wake up and just like kind of willy-nilly things, those are my worst days. But creating lists, staying organized, staying up to date, staying, you know, healthy are all things that help you keep a good schedule and get everything done that you want to do. And also, more importantly, make sure all those things that you're doing really mean something to you. Because I get that question a lot where people are like, how do you do it all? And it's so easy because I love it all. So I find a way to fit it all into one day as long as I want to do all those things. As the years have gone by as a creator, what I've realized that it's also okay to peel a couple of those things off. Like if I'm having more of a YouTube day and I don't get to making beats or getting to music later, that's fine. I can peel that off and just work on YouTube that day. So as I've evolved and gotten older, I've been making it more so okay to not do it all in one day, spread it out for the week, do what I'm more so capable of rather than what I want to do is what's important.
I really love hearing that because it kind of reminds me, Nigel, of something that I've used, which is like a time budget. And then I also do vision boards. And I feel like being able to have both, it helps to keep me on the right page, but it also can give me that intrinsic motivation to know that I can actually get to the next level in my own life. And I love talking to guests who have that ability to be multi-talented, but also faceted as well. And speaking of multi-talented, I know that you did something that many people wish they had the opportunity to do, which is you play Sebastian from The Little Mermaid. So can you tell us more about performing and doing plays? Is that something that you want to continue to have experience doing? And tell us about that role.
Yeah. Sorry, a little choked up only because that's how much I love theater and being on stage. I grew up doing theater.
I want to make sure that you know your mic is muted, my love.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. No, I just got a little choked up because that's how much I love theater. When I was younger and I was going from sport to sport, cheerleading, baseball, to soccer, to swimming, gymnastics, my mom put me in everything to put my creative energy into something. Finally, I landed on theater when I was about 10 years old. She put me in a theater camp. I did that for 6 or 7 years in a row. I was in the chorus and the ensemble member summer after summer. I looked at her one summer and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of being in the back. She told me to keep going. By the time I was 12 years old in my 8th grade musical at my school, I landed my first lead. So after being in the ensemble for 6 summers, I finally had my first lead when I was 12. I continued to do theater all throughout high school and into college. And I stopped when I was 21 because that's when I started to just kind of put that creative energy into being a drag queen. I realized I can kind of use that same charisma and make my own shows. I could play the female characters. I could make my own costumes, make my own twist, and make it a little bit more adult. So it was so fitting for my 20s. So it had been about 11 or 12 years since I did a real musical performance on stage in a show, and that is one of my mom's favorite things to do, and to see me do, is to be on stage. And something just told me to get back to it. My heart was yearning for it. I missed it so much. I love YouTube. I love drag. I love what theater brought me to, but I felt this urge to circle back to what made me be me. And I went out for it, and I landed the role. She was there opening night. She was the first person I called. She was there when I was stressing, when I thought I couldn't do it. She was there for the whole process, and it was such a beautiful experience. And I'm definitely going to be doing more. I've been going on auditions since that, and as soon as I land something, I'll be announcing it. But yeah, theater's not gone. I'll never take that long of a break again, ever.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I love that even, in the moments where you were taking a break, you still found ways to transmute that energy into different ways. And just so you know, Jasmine.anastasia is my girl. I mean, I tell you right now, I was jamming to your music at the gym earlier today. Like, it's a vibe. You're so multi-talented. It seems like you just are able to do so many things. Do you have any dreams or goals and ambitions that you feel like you haven't tackled yet that are just so huge and out there, but you still have them?
Of course, of course. I mean, right now the shows that I do are like community theater based. So like I would love to do a bigger production, maybe like an off-Broadway production, maybe even a national tour of a character. I put a lot of time into crafting the energy of my theater persona. So I feel happy and proud to say that I'm good enough for that. I worked really hard to learn what I've learned, and I've never forgot it. Even the years away from theater, like you said, I found ways to just always own that creative energy and put it somewhere. So I don't think it would be a crazy dream for me to want to do a national tour of a show or do a little off-Broadway experience. And then in terms of media in general, just more, bigger, better, like Netflix, reality shows, hosting, anything that comes my way that the universe thinks I'm capable of. I certainly think I'm good enough for it, and I can't wait to see what comes, because that's the type of energy I've been trying to own, and that's what I've been trying to portray since I started this, is to actually just be vocal about the things that we think we can do, because I think that that's how I lost a lot of time, is in my head I knew I had the ins and outs to do certain things, but I didn't do it because I just didn't believe in myself. I didn't want to vocalize it. I didn't want to be embarrassed. So just saying it out loud means so much. So to anyone who has those dreams, don't be afraid to say what you want to do, because it's going to help them come true.
Yes.
I think that is just a mouthful. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because for many individuals, we can get caught into that inner, I like to call it saboteur, that we start to tell ourselves what we can't do, or we lose sight of ourselves due to challenges we face. And so I'm glad that you mentioned, hey, getting back into theater, getting back into being creative, and living your authentic self, and being able to share this is what you want to portray to the world, but this is also how comfortable you are in your own skin. And I feel like that takes years for many people to get to that place, but I feel like for you, it's definitely an innate feeling, and that's why the music and everything you're doing is all doing well, because you are finally aligning with your purpose. And sometimes I like to also mention to people that there's purpose in the pain, and it can be hard when we're going through painful situations to find that purpose. But when we actually can smile again, and it can be a genuine smile, and we can take the mask off and find happiness in other maybe avenues that we didn't have before, or maybe other people will come into our lives to, give us back that sense of solace within ourselves. I think that's always great. And so that's why we're so glad that you're here, is because we get to learn more about your journey, but you get to learn more about yourself through interacting with others and their journeys as well.
Absolutely. I love it. I love what you guys stand for here. I think it's so beautiful. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Thank you. Your story is just so inspiring. It truly, truly is. And it just touches me on a deep level, my love. Nigel, I want to say it might be time for some games, isn't it, Jeriel?
Oh, it's definitely time for a game. This is our favorite part of the show, Nigel. We like to kind of go straight into this fun, rapid fire, this or that type of game. So we're going to go into this, and I am very competitive. I know Dorian is too. So I like to just see how competitive you are. So we're going to ask you to give us your first response to each one, and you kind of let us know what you're thinking if you're ready for us.
Okay. Is it like a one word answer response, or is it like a let you know how I feel response?
You're gonna find out in a second.
Okay.
We're not gonna give it all to you. We're gonna just see how you get it. But I'm gonna give you two choices, and you kind of choose which one would you choose out of this or that.
Okay.
All right. So the first one we have is television series or movies.
Movies.
Really? So what's your favorite movie?
Oh my gosh, that's a deep question. Which genre?
All right, let's go romance first, maybe.
A Walk to Remember, Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. That movie called One Day with Anne Hathaway. The Theory of Everything. I have so many.
See, Dorian, he's cheating. He's giving us a...
Oh, wait, I didn't know if it was...
No. You're doing good. You're doing good. You just love a lot of movies. I love it.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, we joking with you.
Okay.
But A Walk to Remember was a really great movie, and Only Hope was a song I remember growing up in Switchfoot. If I remember correctly, they Dare You to Move,
yes.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs.
Oh my gosh, Only Hope is one of my favorite songs. That's so crazy you said that. And I fell in love with that moment in the movie, and just, you know, I mean, obviously to circle things back to everything you guys already know about me, that was another really early musical movie moment. That was just like, damn, like music can do that to you? Like what? Like Only Hope was the jam. I love that song.
There we go. And Mandy Moore, I really want to give her her flowers. I think people, we go back to the first introduction to Mandy Moore was Candy, if anyone remembers, like TRL days, like that was her big song back then. But just think of her and how amazing she was in my favorite show, This Is Us. I mean, that last scene still gets me to, you know, with just her life and how it ended on the show. It's very emotional for me. And I always get very teary when I think of that train scene. If anyone has not seen it, please watch. It was one of the last episodes of the show. But it was just such a great moment. And to see her evolve as an actress and still have an amazing voice and still perform, I just love to see people kind of living in that. But Dorian, I'm going to go to you on that. What do you say for that, Dorian? Would you say which one stood out to you?
Oh, you know what? I would have to let the inner child in me live and say movies. And do not judge me, y'all, but my favorite movie is still Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, I love that. I'm not judging at all. I just left that one out. That's all.
Well, I'm going to play the outsider on this. I'm a huge, I love TV series. Like, my favorite show, now this is going to sound weird, you guys don't judge me now. But I love comedy shows, but I love, Criminal Minds. Like, that's, a show that I've just, really enjoyed watching. And I think for me, because it kind of keeps me in the analytical part of my brain, I'm like, oh, I really want to, learn more about this and, what goes on in people's minds to kind of understand it. And so I'm like, it's kind of weird. I'm like, why do I like this show? I'm like, I don't know why I like it so much, but it's just really a great show. And I definitely love, my favorite show growing up was Living Single. One of my favorites.
Oh, yes. Yes. I love that show. Iconic.
It's one of the most iconic groups of individuals, and they just really just made me laugh. One of my favorite episodes is when Maxine, who was one of the characters in there, and Mark Curry was actually on that episode. That was probably one that still stands out to me as a kid and an adult. But he was making jokes, and so he was talking about, I know this young lady, she was an attorney, and he said, I remember she had eaten the whole. I think he said it was what was it, a pan of free chili, and it's like she had so much gas she cleared the whole courtroom. And I'll just never forget that moment of just like laughing so hard, like because he was just like cracking jokes on everyone. And it just Mark Curry's one of my favorite comedians. So just watching that show and just seeing how many guest appearances, TV series definitely for me, for sure.
I love it.
Yes, that was a good era for TV. There's a lot of good shows on around that time that are like, they've been repurposing and putting on like HBO Max and stuff. And I've been like living for those shows, like just because, you know, back in the day you saw episodes as they premiered on TV. So my favorite thing now is to like dive into a show that I've never seen from like the early 90s or something and just get into it.
For sure. I love that too. So our next one we have for you are video games or books?
Oh my gosh. I gotta go. Oh, I love a good book, but I'm going video games. Going video games.
I love that. And you know what? I just learned that you like video games. I am a video game nerd. When I tell you anything Mario, Nintendo, that's right up my alley. I would have to go video games too.
Sometimes I tell people,
I'm going to have a hard time choosing this one. I feel like I'm kind of in the middle, you guys, because I used to love video games a lot when I was a kid. Like, I would play, but then I got so competitive with it. Like, Mortal Kombat was my favorite. I really enjoyed that growing up. And then I was a Mario Kart person as well. Enjoyed that too. But then I loved sports because I played sports. So then I was like a FIBA, loved, of course, soccer. And I enjoyed, which is my favorite time of year, is the Olympics. And so at one point in time, like, PlayStation came with this Olympic game, and I was like in love. I told him, I was like, I don't want to put this down. Like, so the Olympics, anyone who knows me knows that's my favorite time of year. So maybe I will go for video games with y'all too. But my favorite book is the Harry Potter series. So like that was just something I really into.
Oh, love Harry.
What's your favorite video game?
Oh my gosh, probably it's this series on PlayStation called Kingdom Hearts. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. So like it actually wraps into Disney. It's like Disney and Squaresoft made it together. That's probably my favorite series, and then right next to that, the Resident Evil series. So I get into the nitty gritty. Like that's what people don't understand. They're like, "Oh, you playing the little princess games?" I'm like, "No, I'm shooting. Like I'm killing it." Like.
That is hilarious. Well, Nigel, then you definitely didn't find my Criminal Minds obsession to be too bad.
No, and not to circle everything back to my love, but my mom loved that show and all the documentaries, and I never thought it was weird. I'm always like, whatever, you know, there's different genres on those platforms for a reason, so nothing's there for anyone weird. Whatever piques your interest, go for it. Love it.
I love that. So now we have a real fun one. Country or city?
Oh, I mean, you know, I'm a city girl for sure. I live in the country though, but I'm a city girl.
Yes, I love that. I love the city world.
Yeah.
I love me a good country though. Give me some peace and some quiet. I can drive to the city to get some action.
Yeah.
But when I rest my head, give me, some peace and quiet.
Yes. And that's how my life is now. Like I'll do like all the roughhousing and carrying on over to the city, and then I pop 20 minutes over to, I live right in the country. I live 20 minutes away from Philly. So I'm like, that's why I'm like literally like half and half.
I feel you. I'm definitely city 100%. Like, it's something about growing up in New Orleans. When you grow up in a city like that, like it's nothing like that experience. So city for me, 100%. It's just, you're talking about a city, it feels like a city that never sleeps, very similar to like Las Vegas, but just on a larger scale. And the food, I mean, it's just amazing.
The best in the world. I love it there.
Yes, indeed.
Now, what about summer or winter?
Oh, definitely summer, so I can run around as a shirtless, carefree bear and just live my best single life.
Yes, God, I love it. You know what? Even though I'm a July baby, born in July, Team Cancer, woo woo, I promise you, winter is my favorite season. I think the Christmas energy, the snow, like just all of that, it's just such a magical time. And as a kid, it just always brought so much wonder in my life. So I'm gonna still have to stick with winter.
Yeah, winter's for me for sure. I guess because living in Louisiana, when you have like the humidity, And with my allergies, like sometimes it's like really rough doing like spring and summer for me sometimes. But like the winter, I just love it freezing cold. Like everyone knows me. They're like, why do you have a fan on? Like I will literally have like 2 or 3 fans like blowing on me at one time. And I just love like cold air. So like for me, just seeing that, and I definitely want to start traveling a lot more in the near future. But my goodness, like when I think of the mountains and different places, I enjoy that kind of stuff for sure.
And the fashion.
Yes, absolutely. What about cats or dogs? Let's kind of talk about that. This is a hard one.
It's not hard for me. I'm all dog. Not that I hate cats, but if I always would choose a dog. There's something like more loving and like maternal to a dog. For some reason, like the cats that I've met have been a little on like the mean side. I don't know. Is that just me?
That is funny. You know what? So we actually have 2 cats, my husband and I promise you, he was not a cat person at all. In the beginning, he was like, "What? Why do you want to?" Okay, I grew up having cats. We did have a dog, and she was the ultimate loving dog. And you're right, they're just more affectionate naturally, but. You know, I think we've been spoiling our cats because I feel like they're the same way. They're always all up under us, asking to be rubbed and having attention. So I'm a stay team cat. I love them. They're just so chill and they're easy to maintain. Like they don't have to go for walks and stuff like that.
Yes,
absolutely. I'm cats as well for that one. And a reason I really love cats too is like they make you work for the attention too. And so there's something about that, and when they really do show care and love, I love when they make biscuits. If you've ever seen that happen a lot of the times, it's just something about seeing a cat make biscuits and they start purring. It's something about that purr, especially when I was a kid. We had a cat, a calico cat actually, and it was just such a loving cat. I mean, I love dogs as well. But I'm just, when I think about it, I'm like, and they can clean their own litter and do everything. And I'm like, go ahead and handle that on your own. Like, this is good. I just scoop it later. But as a whole, they do pretty much a lot of stuff on their own, but they really do force you to have to really spend quality time, and you have to really work for it.
That's the truth.
Yeah, that's a good description of it. I guess I need that quick and easy, affectionate love that's on display, I guess.
Not quick and easy, Nigel. That's funny. All right, the next one we have is call or text. What do you think about that one?
Oh my gosh. I'm like forever still like this is gonna sound so crazy, but I know you guys probably understand. Like, I'm forever still like that Moesha girl on the bed wanting the phone calls. Like, I live like a 90s teen fantasy forever, and I would rather be on the phone chatting with a friend or someone that I like rather than swapping paragraphs, because I'm deep. So it's like, we're either going to swap paragraphs or we're going to call and have a real conversation. Like, but I'm not doing like, hey, how are you? Hey, good. Hey, no. Like, it's got to be deeper.
I feel you on that, actually. You know what? And I love you said the 90s teen fantasy. I got that whole vision of Moesha all over again. I guess I'm kind of split in the sense that, like, I agree. If we're going to have a real conversation and it's going to get deep, we have to talk. Like, I have to let you have all of this in, like, real time. But I feel like I have ADHD and just, like... sometimes my focus can be so many different places. So if it's just casual conversation, I'm the type where I'm like, okay, just text me. It needs to be quick. Let me just shoot you a text back and forth kind of thing.
I agree with that. I feel like if it's business related, it depends on what type of business. I would definitely prefer text because it's good to have it, you know, as just kind of a referral to go back to the date and time and just like, hey, this is what's written. Because sometimes when you're talking about things and it's, you know, goal-oriented kind of things, you might forget. But I'm going to kind of cheat on this one. I would say if it's going to be phone, I like to do more if it's something really important to FaceTime or something like that, because in that way it's easy for me to kind of really see what's going on specifically. And I know we kind of spoiled with that now because, of course, in the 90s we didn't have this kind of technology. But I think like that would be easier for me. But text is always quick for me because I'm always on the run. And so if I really have to, like, engage for, like, a good 30, 45 minutes, I need to make sure I have time to do it because I would hate to rush someone while they're talking.
That makes sense, yeah.
But that's that's the work part of me. But the personal part of me, definitely, I want to talk on the phone for sure to kind of figure out what's going on for sure. Now, what about coffee or tea?
Coffee. It's so funny. I never was like a coffee drinker. Like, I really just have like a I feel like I have like a fat kid's taste. Like, coffee did nothing for me. I just loved the way it tasted, and I would drink it here and there. I want to say I had like a placebo effect, either a placebo effect or it actually started working for me. In high school, coffee didn't work for me when I tried to use it to stay up for exams, but I think as my body changed, it finally started to give me energy because I started to drink it when I played Sebastian for rehearsals because I was like, I need something for this role or it's not happening. So I started to drink coffee and I feel like it worked because I drank it from like my first rehearsal until the end of the show and I'm still drinking it. And I feel like my body changed and now it works. So now I'm a coffee person.
No, that makes total sense because I'm kind of the same way with coffee. Like, growing up, I actually thought it was nasty. And I was like, you know what? Like, everybody kept saying, you know, when you get older, you'll understand. I just swore by tea, especially, you know, as a singer, give me my tea with a lot of honey in it. I used to prefer tea, but I felt like it didn't give me energy. And now, for some reason, if I have some coffee, like before a meeting for work or something, oh, I'm up. It's up and it's stuck. And it really helps. So I'm going to have to give coffee the one up right now.
I guess I'm off again, you guys. Tea is me 100%. Like, I have like so many boxes of tea at work, like it's crazy. Like I will literally have like a tension tamer tea, or which is one of my favorites, or peppermint, or I'll have some, like I just have different flavors. So people come to me, they're like, "Oh, I need some tea." I'm like, "Well, here you go." And so it's kind of fun to have it. Coffee, I have so much creamer in the coffee. I kind of don't have coffee; it's just mostly creamer. So I always like to tell people, like, if you want to have a side of creamer with a little wink or a little drip of coffee, then I'll have some of that. But as a whole, I love drinking tea. Like, I could drink tea day and night and never get tired of it.
Yeah, I do love tea. I got a whole box full of stuff of tea in my kitchen as well.
Love that. Now, Nigel, this is a fun one. Scary movie or funny movie?
Ooh, I'm gonna go scary, but not like pop up and like scare you. Like I like slasher scare, not like scary face scare, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. You like a good little Halloween or Jason, cut them up.
Yes, exactly. But don't give me like I can't do like, for example, like I can't do The Exorcist. Like I have sat down in a room multiple times with people who are like, "Oh, let's watch this," and I'm like, "I will leave your house." Like I'm like I can't do that face and like really good special effect makeup. Like I don't care if I know it's makeup. I don't want to see it because I'll see it all night long and then I'll be screwed. So no, like.
Well, I'm definitely that kind of person. I love like The Ring. That was one of my favorite ones. You talking about like I literally could watch that all day. I like that kind of stuff, or even like Final Destination stuff. Like I am a big Final Destination fan. I'm like, if ever I had an opportunity to be in another movie, I would love to be in something like that. Like, I mean, just to be an extra. I just like that kind of stuff. But yeah, I can definitely see, you know, Freddy versus Jason, that kind of stuff. The Hills Have Eyes. I mean, I think like scary 100% for me, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm huge. I'm a huge Wes Craven fan. So Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream are like my two favorite like movies in general. I love those movies.
Love that. Now, what about Instagram versus TikTok?
Oh my goodness. I have to go with the classic Instagram. I have to go with what was here first. Regardless of who thinks she's wearing the crown of social media right now, I'm going with Instagram because she had my back first. She was my first friend. And she's just a little bit more real than TikTok, too. So... And that's that.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with IG for sure. And, you know, I love TikTok, but it can be a black hole. Let me tell you, like, if I click into that, next thing I know, 45 minutes have passed, and I've just done nothing but scrolling. I can't. I have to do it in doses.
Well, the good thing about me is Instagram 100% for me. I was on TikTok for maybe less than a day, and I was like, I was like, this is not for me. First of all, if I had to dance, that would be the biggest joke. But I'm like, I cannot sit up here and do this. Like, I was like, this is just way too much. And it was just, I felt like I was being pressured to keep looking at more and more. I was like, no. And I will watch YouTube. That's something I definitely will see from time to time. But Instagram, I love. I think it's easy to navigate. And I've made so many great connections. I would have never met you guys if I had never decided to do Instagram. So I had been pushing it back for so long. Like, I'm never getting that. And I was a big, like, Facebook, like, keep Facebook forever. But now I'm like, I'm glad I chose to do it.
Oh, you're right. IG for the win. We did all meet and connect on IG. Yeah, that has to win, hands down.
For sure. Now, I have one more for you. 90s music or early 2000s?
Oh, my gosh. They're very close. I'll go 90s. But yeah, both are my favorite genres for sure. I'm obsessed with the early 90s pop realm, Britney, Christina, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. Like, that to me was my invitation and welcoming to music. Like, my mom later showed me R&B and friends showed me rock, and I discovered other things as time went on. But for what I approached myself and what my ear listened for and what made me happy was early 90s pop music. Like, that was the first thing that I ever heard. So definitely 90s.
Yes, and you're right. You know, they do kind of blend into each other. I felt like the two eras are very close as well. But you know what? I'm definitely going to have to go with the 90s too. That's when I saw Monica for the first time. I fell in love with her, and I feel like it just made me fall in love with music in a deeper way. So definitely 90s. I was all about the 90s R&B, Destiny's Child, Brandy, Aaliyah, Usher, all of those icons. Christina, I remember when Genie in a Bottle came, I was like, who is that? So definitely 90s and Britney. Ooh.
90s was great. I mean, you took my answer. I was just about to talk about Aaliyah. I loved Aaliyah growing up, and just seeing such an angel, you know, it just reminds me. That's why September 11 was such a hard time for me, just kind of seeing, you know, all the things that was going on around that time frame. And the 2000s, they had a lot of great music, but the 90s, there's nothing like the 90s. I feel like there were so many things between the style, the way people dress, the different types of electronics that were popular in the 90s compared to things now. Like, I just remember, you know, growing up, and then this was also during a time when I was just in middle school, you know, in the 90s, and just kind of getting to know more about life and just experiences. So, yeah, the 90s was definitely a fun time. But now, as we get older, you kind of look back like, oh my goodness. I guess like our family members who are older, they might feel the same way. They're like, oh, y'all, this is crazy. Like, when computers came out, they're like, what is a computer? But it's just so cool to kind of see that for sure.
Definitely. Well, Nigel, we just want to know what you have plans for the rest of 2023. We know it just started, and I know you probably got so much in store. We would love to know what you have plans, and if there's anything you want to share with our listeners.
Oh gosh, I mean, first and foremost, I'm just planning to take care of myself, be there for my family during this recent loss, making sure that everybody's good, and taking over like that role. I do have a younger sister. She's turning 20 next month, so I have that in common with you too, Dorian. So you know, just making sure that I'm a good older brother. Everything's in place for my family. First and foremost, and then beyond that, creation-wise, I just want to continue what I started, and I know I have my mother's blessing to do that. So it's just going to be a matter of getting through my grief and presenting that pain in a way that I feel is acceptable and beautiful. And once I reach the point of that content creation, I know I'll be on the right path. But it's so interesting because I feel like before what happened, I had more of a detailed, beautiful 2023 planned out. But life gave me a different set of cards. So I can't be completely honest or clear on what I have planned exactly. But I do know I just want to follow that path of greatness, continue this legacy of my mother, continue to spread and share this love that was taught to me my whole life, and just make sure the world just soaks up every ounce that I have to give. I think that's my one true goal, next to being there for my family right now, for sure.
Well, we really are just so excited to have had you on the show. And I do have a special surprise for you that you're unaware of. And Dorian's unaware of this as well. But I sometimes like to do this on Black Canvas, and I think this is fitting that we do this on this show as well. I want to make sure that we dedicate this one to your mom.
That's so beautiful. Thank you. She loves a good dedication, and she'll be getting plenty, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes, queen.
Yeah, no, she would really appreciate that. And, you know, one of the most beautiful parts of my journey is that, you know, this love that I have for her and that she had for me and the influence she had on my life and everything that I do, I got to tell her that she had that. She did not leave this earth not knowing everything that I'm telling you guys, not knowing everything that I'm vlogging about. She knew everything that I was and everything that I felt for her. And I got to tell her face to face, you are the reason why this channel exists, why I do music, why I believe in myself, why I have confidence, why I can fall in love, why I learned how to love, why I can teach love, why I can support others, why I could be a good friend, why I could be a good boyfriend, why I could be a good brother. All of those things are because of her. And I'll never get sick of saying that to people. So I appreciate you making that dedication, because I look forward to doing a lot of dedicating for her. So thank you for being the first. I appreciate it.
So beautiful. It's so inspiring, and it just touches you in the spirit. It really does. And I just want to thank you, because your story is inspiring me in the deepest of ways.
100%. Like we're here with you, you know, to work through this together. The great thing is that we all need to have support, and we can find it in different ways. And I'm just so glad, first of all, you agreed to be on the show, and that you've allowed us to kind of have a kind of glimpse into your not only career, but into your life. And so we normally end each episode with our slogan, which is, let's remember, just beneath the surface lies our beauty marks. When all is said and done, let's embrace them, for we are one. And so I'm just very glad to have you here on the show. Dorian and I we just can't wait to see where your life is going to lead from this point. And we would love to have you back in the future. If you ever want to kind of give us some updates on what's going on with you, just let us know.
Most definitely.
Absolutely. I would love to come back. And thank you guys again, not only for having me, but continuing to have other guests to shine light on the things that matter. Positive influence and keeping people afloat needs to be more seen in this community, and that's why I'm here. I know that's the purpose of this show, and so keep on spreading that message. Both of you do an incredible job of what you do. Keep on inspiring each other, and yes, this is not the last time we'll be collabing. We'll be doing more together for sure. I appreciate you guys so much.
Yes, thank you.
All right, you guys, y'all have a great night, and for our listeners, please follow. We'll make sure at the end of this episode, please go out and follow both Dorian and Nigel if y'all can. And then if you have time to also follow Embracing Your Love Marks, we are on Instagram as well. So just look us up, and we will be here to continue to support each other through this journey. But I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your night.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bye, Nigel.
Bye. Thank you guys so much.